Michele Von Hoven, and I will be your host today. I am the CEO of Be Fit Financially, the financial fitness diva, and we want to ignite your wealth, your health, and success. And on today's show, we're going to be talking about retirement by design for women. And ladies, we really need to take a look at this topic because women have very special challenges that are different than our male counterparts. Whether we're married or not, we will have different experiences. So we want to have you feel secure, savvy, and significant so that you can create the businesses and do the work that you are meant to do and be on the mission that you're meant to be on. So we get ready to get started here, and we're going to ignite your retirement by design. Now, we're going to go through just a couple of challenges here for women, and I'm going to go ahead and try to share my screen with you. We're going to talk about why you should take charge of your retirement and some of the things you need to do. So let me share my screen. Hopefully this will work. And here we go. Well, maybe not. I'm not sure if that's going to work. Okay, we're going to take that off. Okay, pause on that one. So I'm going to go ahead. I have my slides here that I prepared for today's presentation, and I want you to know some of the challenges. So let's go through those right now that women face on the journey to retirement, and really to retirement and through retirement. So there are many, many challenges that women face. And number one, of course, is internal, our relationship with money, which we talk about, and your deserve level. So we want you to feel like you deserve to have the wealth to create in your business and in your life, and then save it for your future self as well. And we want you to make those confident decisions, because again, there are many challenges that we face. And I'm going to give you just a couple of little statistics here on Social Security, because Social Security is your safety net. And hopefully you have the 40 quarters, or you will be obtaining the 40 quarters that you need in order to receive Social Security. And then some ladies may not have it if you've taken time out on the workforce to take care of children or parents. These things happen to women, and this will have less money saved in our retirement accounts and less Social Security benefits. And if you're still lucky enough to have a pension along the way, well, that's a good thing too. But many companies do not have pensions. Still some do. It's a very small percentage. So we are not in the same world where our mothers or grandparents were, when perhaps when they had a job, they did receive a pension, or your grandfather or father. So in Social Security benefits, it provides security for 1 in 5 Social Security retirees is their only source of income. And in 1 out of 3 Social Security recipients depend on it for 90% of their income. And for 2 out of 3, it's more than 50%. So this is not a large amount. And I'm just going to go back here and say, Social Security was not designed to replace your paycheck in retirement. And quite honestly, when Social Security started, people weren't living as long as they are today. So today, now we're having retirements of 20, 30, even 40 years in retirement. You can spend as many years in retirement, if you're lucky enough to save enough money, that you perhaps are spending in your working years or in your career. So, that's a big point. So why do I say that? Well, let's look at some of the key components of when you do a retirement plan. So what is a successful retirement? A successful retirement is having enough money working for you so that you don't have to work for it. And that money can fill the gaps of your Social Security benefit. Now, I'm not discounting Social Security. It has a great benefit to it, and it is guaranteed for life, and it is guaranteed to have cost of living adjustments, which, by the way, are determined by the CPIW in October of the year prior, and then they announce it in January. So that's big. Now, how do you know how much you need for retirement? Because as Miss Linda Evans, the founder of WomeNomics, says, aging isn't cheap. And then I say retirement isn't cheap. So we're in the same parallel there. And you have to prepare for that along the way, because what you buy today, and we know this in this inflationary environment that we're in, that what you bought 2 years ago when inflation was hovering around 2% is way different than, let's say, a 7%. A 7% inflation rate. Here's an example. If you need to buy something for $10,000 today, in 10 years, you will need $20,000 for the same item, whatever it is. If a used car or a small boat. Well, but the point is that inflation has a great effect on your purchasing power. Now, if your money is not keeping a hedge against that inflation, meaning getting ahead of inflation and growing for you so that you will have that money down the road. And that is a key factor here, because inflation is eating at our money every day. And it does all years. It just depends on the level of inflation. And so how much money do you need? Well, you can take a look at what you're currently spending now. Look at if you use a credit card wisely, and that is if you use it to keep a log, like I use a credit card that gives me a full accounting. It's a great bookkeeping mechanism, and it breaks down all my categories of where I'm spending, whether it's, restaurant, office supplies, or whatever. So if you look at that, you can see where you're spending your money most, if it's travel, and then project it forward and say, well, am I going to do the same for gasoline or meals and eating out, etc. So nobody knows you like you know you. And I don't know of anybody who wants to change their lifestyle when they retire, not to at least keep up to what they're doing. Now, they're going to want to travel more. You're going to want to do more things, but be careful of the hit that you might take. And the hit is H, healthcare costs, I is inflation, and T is taxes. Taxes. Right now, we have a lower tax rate than we've had in a long time. It's been since 2017, but those tax rates are set to expire. So when you wake up on January 1st of 2026, the current tax rates that we have will expire at that time and go up to the old tax rates prior to 2017. So you might want to take a look at that. Maybe we'll do a little show on that to give you a taste of it, but you have to prepare for taxes, because even whatever you're saving in your nest egg, guess what? Guess who's your partner? Did you know you have a partner in your retirement plan, your IRAs, your 401ks, your 403bs, the 457 plans if you're working for federal 403bs, or for our clinicians and teachers and nonprofits? You know who your partner is? Uncle Sam. Because he's letting you defer that money now. But guess what? He wants to get paid. And now he's even set the date when he knows when he's going to start getting paid. And the laws are changing that for required minimum distributions. So I'll keep it simple. Anybody born after 1960 will have to start making required minimum distributions by age 73. Actually, I think it's a little bit before that. The law, this all is just changing right now, so it's a little crazy. But you will have to start, and they determine how much you need to take out and start paying taxes on. And if you don't, guess what? you're going to be penalized for not doing it. So the penalty is 50% of the amount you should take out, and it's set to change. It's going to go down to 25%. So even let's just say if you miss that required minimum distribution because Uncle Sam wants his money and he says, you didn't pay me on time, you didn't take that distribution, I want another 25% penalty on top of the tax. So all these now penalties and taxes have to be taken into account. So when you figure out how much you need to spend in going forward, you have to look at the taxes and add that in as well. So that's when you start. And you look, what is the price of retirement? What is retirement going to cost me? Well, it's going to cost you now, because wherever you're being paid now, whether it's through your company as an employee, and if you decide to sell the company, then hopefully you'll have some lump sums and maybe payments over several years that you will be paid on it. But the point is, where are you going to get your paycheck in retirement? Where is that paycheck coming from? Because once you leave, if you're employed, your employer, and even if you're self-employed, that's you, you're going to get that last paycheck. That'll be the last paycheck you receive from working. And now you have to take all the money you saved plus your Social Security and turn it on and create cash flow. Now, how are we going to create that cash flow? Well, that's a whole nother meeting. That's a whole nother time, because there are ways, and it really depends, and everyone is unique. There is no cookie cutter plan for this. Yes, you can go look online and look at some calculators and say, oh, if I need, $1 million, let's look at that. Because there's a swap study that says the average American needs $1.4 million. Now, that depends on what your lifestyle is. But let's just take a look at $1 million and see, what do you need to do in order to reach the $1 million mark? And let me just add, once you reach the first million, the second million's easy. And you might say, well, why is that, Michelle? Wow, I've got to go do this again. No, it's because your money's making money. It's working for you. It's money doubles every so many years, depending on the interest or the earnings that you get from it. So let's take a look and look at some rates to see, to accumulate $1 million. It depends on three things. The first thing is, how many years do you have to accumulate the fund? Second, what's your after-tax rate of return? And then third, the method of contribution. Is it one lump sum? Is it monthly? How are you doing this? So I'm going to take a look at a monthly contribution. So let's look at that. And let's say you have 20 years to get to the $1 million. So, and you're making 6% is your annual, your return, might require a little more volatility, a little more risk, hopefully calculated risk. If you calculate your risk and it's educated and it's based on your investment policy statement, adhering to your parameters of your risk tolerances and the other parameters that are involved, then you could do 6 or 8%, depending on the investments. But we're going to look at 6%, 20 years, and how much do you need to save monthly for 20 years? It's $2,164. Now, if you have a lump sum right now and of $302,096, and it's making 6%, then by 20 years, you'll have $1 million. And you say, Michelle, I don't have that much time. I don't have that much money. Well, you need the money or the time. One or the other. Time is money. And the more time you have, the more money you can acquire. But do you need it? There's a certain level called utility of wealth. And the utility is what is the usefulness of the wealth. So if you have the $1 million and that's suitable for you, and you say, I want more. I recently just speaking with someone about money. How much do I need? Well, if you have $1 million, do you want 2 million? How much harder should you work, or how much harder should your money work? I need 2 million, 3 million. There's a study done, and it's by Daniel Kahneman, who wrote a book called Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. And he discovered that he talks about the utility theory of money and wealth. And he finds that as the wealth increases, it actually, the utility of it goes down. And it goes down around 4 million. So if you really want more, I mean, it seems that the utility and the usefulness of it and how much more can you spend or you need is kind of teeters on that 4 million mark for probably somebody in a higher need and wealth bracket. So let's take another look at some figures here. So you only have 10 years, let's say. 10 years. Well, now you need $549,000 at 6%. But if you get 8%, you need $150,523. Or monthly $54.66. So that's roughly $60,000 a year for 10 years. That's at 8%. So money makes money. Money makes money. So whether you need $1 million or whether you need 500,000, it depends on your lifestyle and how much money you need. And hopefully you won't have to go back to work, and you can choose when you retire, because people are happier when it's their choice to retire. And we know that retirement isn't cheap. We know that because as we get older, we have more health care issues. And that's why I say health is wealth. Your health is wealth. Take care of your health. You know, the Dalai Lama was asked, His Holy Highness, the Dalai Lama, Nobel Peace Prize winner, was asked, of all his travel around the world, what was the most interesting factor he noticed about humankind? He said, it's that people will work to save money and forget about their health. And then they will spend their retirement years using up the money to regain their health. Think about that. So why not take care of your health all along the way so that you can live a fulfilling and significant retirement? You want to be significant. And you know what significant is? It's a life well spent. Play on the word spent. A life well spent being frugal, and a life well spent meaning moments and memories that you are creating, because money is a choice. It gives you a choice of when to retire. It gives you a choice to get out of a bad situation, whether it be a job or a relationship or whatever. Money gives you power. Money is just a tool, though, albeit it's a power tool. It's a very powerful tool. So other components of retirement planning, key components, is to have a retirement income plan, knowing that you have designed, how much do you need? How much will the purchasing power be affected by average inflation? And let me go back and say on inflation, on healthcare, while we are quoted the consumer price index of whatever the percent, let's say 5% around right now is around 5%. Do you know that that core does not include food and energy? Interesting. Why is that? You've got to have food. We all eat. Everybody has to eat. Energy, we need it to give us air conditioning, Goodness knows where I am, it's pretty darn hot. I need that air conditioning. Need it for your car, whether you have an oil combustion vehicle or you have an EV. It needs energy. So we need energy. So that's not included in the core price index. So just keep that in mind. And then when inflation comes, average inflation is 5%, but healthcare inflation is even higher. So when you look at and comparing your notes and you're figuring out how much money you need to live in retirement for that 20, 30, or 40 years that's going to carry you through, you need to look at the inflation. You need to adjust it for healthcare costs. And while you might be in great health, that's wonderful, but you will have some needs and you have to still pay deductibles and co-pays and all that with your health care. So we want you to create your investment policy statement, as I mentioned earlier. That's critical to how your money's invested. We are not rational people when it comes to investing because money is emotional. Money is very, very emotional. And we need to be aware of our blind spots when we're investing. Because you hear about people, oh, they get in the market, they get out the market. You get in the market, you can get out the market. Let me say this. You cannot time the markets, but you can time your taxes. So look at all the taxes, benefits that are there for you. We talked about you having to pay tax on IRAs and 401ks. If you're in the Roth 401k or Roth IRA, you will not have to pay tax again on the earnings. You do pay it up front. But right now we're in a low tax environment. So if you want to look at some of that, converting some funds to an IRA Roth, then you look at it and say, okay, I'm going to stay within this tax bracket. I'm going to max my tax bracket so I don't go over. Because guess what? When you start collecting Social Security and requirement minimum distributions from those IRAs, they have some nasty triggers that cause some additional taxes. And you can plan for that now before you retire and do some things that are in your benefit to help you with that. One of the triggers, and I'll tell you what it is, when you start taking those RMDs from your 401ks and IRAs, that's going to increase your income. And it may put you over into that income, which will trigger you to pay more in a Medicare premium. It triggers additional premium because then it puts you, it's by income category. So that deduction that you take, when you're working, now you're going to have to pay for it. And it's going to also trigger, go on top, additional tax and put you in that higher tax bracket. So there's some things you can do, as I said, but you have to do it and you have to plan, at least 5 years before retirement, 5 to 10 years. So anyway, let's take a look at a few more. We're getting close to the end, and I'm going to look at a few more. We talk about, accumulation years and your decumulation years. There's a difference. There's a difference in how you invest your money. So that's a thing to look out for. What will your retirement look like? If you have a visualization of what you want retirement to look at, like, let's just say I want retirement to be where I'm volunteering, I'm helping out, charities, I'm doing an encore career, something you've always wanted to do, whether it's songwriting and performing maybe. There's just so many things that you could do, but you have to visualize it. What do I want to do? You can travel, but I have to tell you, I love traveling, but that'll get old too. I mean, it will. So you can't just travel all the time. Although I know some people that go on cruises 4 times a year and they love the cruises. They get good deals. They have all their meals covered, all the utilities covered. So if you love cruises, you can do it 4, 5, 6 times a year, whatever you choose, but visualize what you want. And I also say you should have your bucket list. You know, money is in 3 buckets. I call it the BFF 3D buckets. You have your needs, your wants, and your dreams. And then that's where you put money in each one of those buckets. And each one has different vehicles for investing or saving. But put your dreams down, what you want to do, and just dream and visualize it and think about it now while you want to, because retirement isn't just this everyday Saturday, right? Every day Saturday. So what are you going to do? It might be fun for a week or two, but after that, I know I've seen with my clients, they're like, oh, I'm getting bored now. So you have to have meaning and purpose, and that's what we're all about. We all have to have a mission and a purpose. And most retirees discover their purpose, or some of them even know already what they're going to do. They've already started, a self-employed career. They've been doing it on the side, and then when they retire, they maximize it. So, and plan for the unexpected. There's the one certainty in life, it's uncertainty. So we have to plan for it. And then the big question is, will I outlive my money? Or will my money outlive me? That is one of the biggest concerns that retirees have. It's, will I outlive my money? Will I run out of money before I run out of breath? And that's not what you want to do. But there's also one other thing that's actually worse than that, if you can imagine something worse than that. And that is making financial decisions if you're in the state of cognitive decline. This is where elder abuse comes in. People, women, especially women in their 80s, their 90s. I mean, it's not just elder. I mean, women, whether they're widows. So you have to be careful with your money. But you do not want to make financial decisions if you're starting cognitive decline. And that means dementia, onset, or Alzheimer's in that area. And so there are things you can do. Be proactive, have a plan, a written, I call it a holy plan, which is a holistic plan. You can have a holistic retirement income plan, and that will ignite your retirement. And when you know that you have a plan in place, you have a guide, and you can stand by your plan. All the volatility isn't going to make you nervous and fearful because you've addressed all of this in your written plan. So I wish you a wonderful career, a wonderful journey to retirement, because all roads lead to retirement eventually. And I wish you the best of wealth, health, and success. I'm Michele Von Hoven, the CEO of BeFit Financially. I am the financial fitness diva and financial faculty for WomeNomics. And thank you for joining us today. And hopefully next week, Miss Linda Pringle Evans will return. And I also want to thank Pringle Business Solutions for sponsoring the WomeNomics show. And if you want to be branded, see Miss Linda Pringle Evans. So thank you again, and ignite your wealth, health, and success. And bye for now. See you next time.